First of all, we'd like to define the term material and answer the questions, what is material? In the methodological books, methodologist teachers divide materials into these kind of groups. So the first group of materials is realia. So the things we bring to the classroom. We mean here real objects like pencil, chair, bag, or things. And the second group of materials is called representations. We are not able all the time to bring real objects to our classrooms. That's why we usually bring drawings, photos of a person, of a things, animals, and these kind of things. The third group of materials are called text materials. Usually all the teachers use, especially in language classes, we use text materials. Yeah, they are textbooks, worksheets, computer softwares, and other things. The fourth group of materials are called authentic materials. It is life materials which we usually use in our lives. Yeah, these are not learning materials, but methodologist teachers say that it is very important today to teach authentic materials in our classroom, because we in classes, learning classes, preparing students for life, and they should be able to handle with authentic materials. So there are different kinds of authentic materials, like newspaper articles, recorders, tickets, menus, advertisements, and other things. The next group of materials are called teacher-written materials. These materials are important because teachers know their learners, yes, they should be able to design their own materials according to their levels, according to their needs, according to their interests of their learners, because the published materials, like textbook materials, may be designed for the students of abroad, cannot come to our learners. Yeah, that's why it is very important that teachers should be able to write their own materials. And the last group of materials are called learner-generated materials. Yeah, some learners also are able to do design materials, to do their written work, spoken tasks, and these materials are valuable for our classes because they motivate the learners to learn. Because when they see his own material, his motivation to learn this subject, his motivation to do the other things will increase. So that's why learner-generated materials are called as one of the important materials. And how should a material look like? While, first of all, we'd like to choose, to be able to choose our own materials, to evaluate our materials. When we are going to choose the materials, we should pay attention to this kind of criteria. For example, if we take the material course book as a material, we should first of all look at its method. It means, does this method suits to our needs? Does this, are the teachers able to work with this kind of method? Yeah, for example, if we want our learners to speak and to be fluent in English, we use the method which comes him to the speaking. Or grammar, for example, if we want to develop their awareness, we may use as a grammar or vocabulary translation methods in this method. The next point is appearance. Yeah, every human being is usually, first of all, pays attention to the appearance. This case also concerns to the materials. If the material is attractive, if it is appealing, it can take learners' attention, and they will like this material, and they will learn this material. The third point is teacher-friendly. Materials should be teacher-friendly because teacher should be able to work with this material. There should be here, when we say about teacher friendliness, we mean that there should be some kind of guides for the teachers, explanation for the teachers, his action, step-by-step action, like teacher's notes or teacher's book, yeah? And these materials should not take much time for preparation. So these kind of things also should be taken into consideration. The next point is extras. Here we mean that nowadays we have materials which have students' book, workbook, teacher's book, yeah, and also there should be some opportunities for listening, opportunities for watching, yeah, additional video materials or listening materials or lots of kind of things, handouts, worksheets, and this. The next thing we should pay attention to is material should be realistic. It should be taken from real life. The materials, the content of the material should be close to the learner. Yeah, if we, one of the reasons our learners do not cannot answer to the tasks, they cannot do the exercises because the materials are not realistic. The cultural materials are not realistic. So points, given things are not real. So that's why we should take real materials. And of course, materials should be interesting in order to attract learners, in order to motivate learners. Yeah, they should have some kind of points interesting. Affordable. The next point is. It is also important here because if we are not able to have this kind of material, it is useless. And also, when we take materials, we should again pay attention to the level of our learners and to the skills this material is going to develop. Again, one more things we should. While evaluating or choosing materials, we should pay attention to three factors. They are learner factors, teacher factors, and the institutional factors. So what are learner factors? Because materials are usually devoted to the learner. That's why when we are designing our materials, when we are evaluating the materials, we should pay attention to learner factors. So this is first page. Yeah, it is also important because there are difference between a 7-year-old child and a 17-year-old adolescent. So their materials should be different. The next point is academic and educational level. Again, we should know what our learners know. What subjects they have learned, what are the level of their cognition. And according to these points, we also should choose the materials. The next point we mean here, social-cultural background. It is also important because, as we mentioned in the previous slides, that teachers should generate their own materials according to the level, according to the mentality, according to the needs and the views. So this is social-cultural background. It is very important. We should, for example, our materials should be devoted to their own culture or to their mentality. Yeah, this is very important thing. And also we should pay attention to the previous language learning experience. When our learners come to English classes or to foreign language classes, they have some kind of language learning experience. They learn their native language, they learn Uzbek language, they learn Russian language, or maybe other Korean or Chinese languages. And English may be the third or the fourth language of learning. And while choosing materials, we should take into consideration this experience, previous language learning experience. And the language learning aptitude, what is it? Human being has his own aptitude, or we mean here born talent, yeah, ability to learn languages. Sometimes our learners may not have language learning aptitude. They are logical aptitude. Yeah? For example, mathematics. Children who learn mathematics, yeah, so they have logic aptitude. So we should, again, when we choose materials for the logical learning style of students, again, we should pay attention to these kind of things. And the preferred learning styles, we have kinesthetics in our groups, we have visuals in our groups, we have audios in our groups, we have tactiles in our groups. So we should design materials in order to involve all these four types of learners. And of course, we should pay attention to the interests of our learners. The next factor is teacher factor. Again, it is, we mentioned that materials should be teacher-friendly. We should take into consideration teacher factors. When we mean teacher factor, we say that our teacher should be familiar with the target culture. For example, if we are teaching English, we should know the culture of English people, and we should be able to explain our students what does this kind of thing mean here. And the methodological competence and the awareness teaches the methods suggested, the approach suggested by the material should be close to our teachers. And the experience of teaching the kind of learners, we should also pay attention to this, and time available for preparation, and the preferred teaching style and methods. The third point is institution factor. Here we mean, for example, the level within the educational, if we are choosing the material for kindergarten learners, or primary school learners, or secondary or higher educational learners, yeah, we should pay attention to this. And the time available for study, how many hours a week they learn this subject, when timetable, yeah, when they are going to the, do they have single lesson or double lesson, is it afternoon classes, is it morning classes, yeah, this is also very important. The next point is class size. How many students do we have in our classes, yeah? And how should we work as is there any possibility to work in groups, in pairs, or these kind of things? And the physical environment, this classroom size, flexibility of seating, can we change our places, can we change the tables, yeah, and the acoustics also. Is it possible? Is it, does it have enough opportunity to listen and things? And the additional resources available. Yeah, do we have recorders, projectors, photocopiers? Yeah, while bringing to the materials to the classroom. And then also we should pay attention to the aim of the program, syllabus here, what does the program wants our learners to do, and the form of evaluation, how are we going to evaluate our learners, and the concerning to it, we should bring materials, and the decision-making mechanisms, and freedom given to teachers. Are the teachers able to change the material, to change the syllabus, to change the form of evaluation? Yeah, this is also very important thing. And when we evaluate material according to this kind of principles, the next point is should the teachers change the existing materials? Yeah, and if they should change the materials, what they should change, how they should change, when they should change, and why they should change. Now we are going to answer these questions. So, because one of the roles of a teacher is material design. We know we have different kind of roles here, like evaluator, organizer, and one of them is material designer. So Madsen and Bauer says that every teacher is in a very sense an adapter of the material he uses, employing one or more of a number of techniques, like supplementing, editing, expanding, personalizing, simplifying, modernizing, localizing, modifying cultural or situational content. So what is adaptation? Adaptation is the process of changing something so that it can be used for different purposes. And the purpose of adaptation: to make the material more suitable for the circumstance. We mean here circumstances with needs and the interests of learners, teachers' own capabilities, time, these kind of things. And the second purpose is to compensate for any intrinsic deficiencies in the material. For example, there may be some linguistic inaccuracies in the material. Material may be out of date, and there may be lack of authenticity, lack of variety. According to this prescription, we may adapt the materials. Before adapting the materials, teachers should answer to these three questions. First question: what does this activity get the learners to do? The second question: what do I want the learner to do? And then the third question: how can I get the exercise to do what I want from the learners? So these three questions can be the reason for adapting the materials. Adaptation may be in the form of adaptation as addition or adaptation as change. So adaptation as addition. There are three techniques of adapting materials as addition. They are extemporization, extension, and exploitation. So what is extemporization? It's a spontaneous response of the teacher to the problem. Spontaneously we respond. Okay? For example, substitution of familiar example for the unfamiliar. For example, the example given in the material is familiar to the learner, and we would like our learners to learn more, and we change this example into the unfamiliar. Then paraphrase the text of instruction. Sometimes in the material, instruction may be unclear. We can change it, we can paraphrase it, we can explain it. This is also one of the types of adaptation. The next, reference to previously taught items. How I'm teaching new items. If the items are not clear to our learners, we can refer to the previous item. Do you remember that we learned these kind of things? This is one of the points of these things. The next, extension. It means more of the same. It is something added to something. So it's the provision of additional material by the teacher. For example, we see that the examples given in the material are not enough for our learners to understand or to learn better. We can add more and more examples. This is extension. And the third point is exploitation. It is the process of making use of something so that you gain as much as possible from it. For example, it's a creative use of what is already there. For example, the material we bring to the classroom, for example, a picture of an old man is given not for our purposes, but just to show to give some information about this old man. But we can exploit this material for our own purposes in order to describe the appearance of a man, the appearance of things, or for our own purposes, like learning the language. So adaptation as change, it is the next technique, it's the second technique of adaptation. So we should change the material. So what should we change? We can change language of this material. So for example, the language of explanation we can change, examples we can change, texts, exercises, and the language that students are expected to produce. So we can change. The material suggests that this way of language, but we change it for more simple way. Contexts and the content also can be changed in this material. And the procedures and the classroom management. For example, if the material suggested individual work, but we know that our learners like to work in groups or in pairs, we can change this classroom procedure. Yeah? For example, who does what, with whom, how, we should find access to these questions. And then restructure. Yeah? Components may be reorganized in this material. Yes? What, for example, what the material suggested in the first step, we can change it in the second step. Yeah? In this way, we can change this material. And then principles motivating change. When should we change and in what way? For example, the first principle is localization. Localization. For example, this material is written in Britain. Yeah, it is for the learners of a British environment, but we know that they may not work well in our learners, yeah, with our learners, yeah, may not do so in Uzbekistan, Uzbek learners. So that's why we should change this material according to the localization principle. The next principle is personalization. Again, we should pay attention to the learners' lives, and we should explore their knowledge and interests to devise examples which are about their personal. We should take examples from their own lives, from their own culture. Yeah? In this way, they will learn better. The next principle is individualization. We know that each of our learners has his own individual style of learning. Yeah, according to this principle, we should design our own materials, change materials, modernization. Yeah, this is, for example, we see that the material is not modern, it is out of date, yeah, some kind of so we change this material into more modern materials. And the simplification principle, it is in order not to get our learners feel difficulty, yeah, and make the things easier, we change the material, we simplify some complicated materials into the simple ones. So these are principles motivating change. Now I'm going to finish this topic, and we spoke of the principles of material evaluation and change. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.